It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We read your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. We start today's show with a very simple question that probably affects everybody listening, because I would assume almost everybody listening goes grocery shopping at least once a week. Maybe twice a week. Heck, there was a point in time where I would go every day because, well, I got off at 10 o'clock in the morning and Trader Joe's was empty. But I'm sure you're well aware that for about a year now, we've had hanging over our head the possibility that Kroger, the market conglomerate that is represented by Ralph's in Southern California, they want to buy Albertsons, which Albertsons also includes Vons. They are claiming that if this merger is allowed to go through, it will lead to lower prices. Not so sure about that. Do you approve of the merger of Kroger and Albertsons? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I asked this because on Friday, the LA City Council, in fact, multiple different members of different wings of the LA City Council all came out in opposition to this merger. They do not believe it will lead to lower prices. For more, let's listen to a report from KCAL.
5 Los Angeles City Council members are speaking out against a proposed $24.6 billion merger between grocery chains Kroger and Albertsons. Council members Tracy Park, Heather Hutt, John Lee, Hugo Soto Martinez, and Tim McCosker held a news conference today voicing their concerns about what.
So you've got John Lee, who's the one Republican, Tim McCosker, who's kind of middle of the road, Tracy Park, who's the most conservative Democrat on there, and Hugo. It's quite a crossbred, and Heather Hutt.
Concerns about what would be the largest supermarket merger in history. That's right. They're making their complaint official, introducing a city council resolution opposing the plans. Today, they laid out why.
This proposed merger isn't just anti-competitive, risking higher prices for Angelenos who are already struggling to keep up with the costs of living and groceries and daily essentials, but it also undermines workers and communities across our entire city.
And part of that is, in order to make this merger a thing, because of antitrust laws, they would have to sell off a whole lot of grocery stores, including a few in Southern California. And who's to say that those would stick around under a new owner, or they'd get flattened and turn into something else, which could be devastating for certain neighborhoods. Also, as we have seen a lot with a whole lot of mergers, it usually leads to people getting let go left and right because of eliminating certain redundancies. If Albertsons and Kroger are now the same company, do they need the same distribution centers? That could be a whole lot of jobs. They need to have the same truck drivers.
The council members say 14 stores across Los Angeles would be impacted by the merger, and there's no guarantee they would remain open. C&S Wholesale Grocers, the company behind the merger, has said all employees are expected to be able to maintain their employment if the merger is finalized. Kroger has said no facilities would be closed and that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
That's the part that I'm a little suspect on. I understand this is a free market economy. Mergers happen all the time. Look at the consolidation going on in the entertainment world right now, even though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I don't necessarily think that Kroger buying Albertsons is going to lead to lower prices. Because if that's the excuse that Kroger is making for why prices have been so expensive to begin with, I get some more questions. I don't know about you, but like a lot of people, once it was safe to do so, I have done quite a bit of grocery shopping in the years since the beginning of COVID. And right around 2021, as inflation started taking off, I noticed a weird trend. I was splitting my time at the time. I was shopping at Trader Joe's and I was shopping at Ralph's. And Trader Joe's prices went up very minimally, if at all. On certain things, prices didn't go up at all. On some things like the carne asada, which the carne asada at Trader Joe's is fantastic, it went up quite a bit. At Ralph's, everything went up. Mayonnaise went up to like $8. It got to the point where, and I'm not kidding you, unless there's some sale going on, a jar of Best Foods mayonnaise is the same price at Ralph's as it is at Gelson's, the premium market. And sure, a lot of retailers at the time, including Kroger, were crying, well, this is inflation. This is the supply chain. Things are getting so expensive. But what happened in 2021, 2022, and 2023? Well, Kroger had record profits. In fact, every single year since the pandemic, their profits have gone up and up and up and up and up. And they made so much money during the pandemic that now they can afford to buy their biggest competitor. So I don't know if that's going to mean lower prices once there is even more consolidation in this market. You would think that there's enough competition to keep the prices low, but people categorize their supermarkets. People that shop at places like Vons and Ralph's, they shop at those places. The budget people that shop at Walmart and Target, they categorize in those places. And then there's Trader Joe's, and then there's the premium markets where, people are well-to-do and they can afford whatever they want. But I don't necessarily think that Kroger buying Albertsons is going to lead to lower prices. Do you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Morris in Studio City. Morris, hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think the price is going to go up. I thought Safeway owned Vons years back, IGA Foods International Grocers Association. But the prices are going to escalate because up in Northwest, it's not called Ralph's, it's called Fred Meyer stores up in Washington State. Fred Meyer's is all over, and the prices are super high up there. So even in Washington State, they tax your groceries. Everything is taxed over there. So I expect the prices are going to escalate because they're going to have super control over the market, and that's not good business. So I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, and that is why, we're supposed to have checks and balances, that if there's so much consolidation that you almost have a monopoly on this kind of grocery store, that shouldn't be allowed. We want more competition, not less. Morris, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Give me a call, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I know it's still Safeway up in the Bay Area, but as far as I know, the Vons and the Albertsons are the same company down here. But market branding is so confusing to me. Kroger is Fry's in Arizona, and it's Tom Thumb in Texas, but it's also Kroger in Texas. We got all these different brands. It's all the same market, and all the coupons say Kroger to make you think that there's all these different choices, but really it's just one. Although if you're in Texas, shop at H-E-B. And if you have a little money, shop at H-E-B Central Market. That's the greatest supermarket I've ever been to. Back to the story.
Kroger has said no facilities will be closed and that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
Some people like to stick to their habits when it comes to grocery shopping. Now, if the merger goes through, there will be changes, and people in one Westchester neighborhood say that would be a shame. KCAL's Tom Waite shows us why they're so attached.
A Vons in Westchester isn't just a grocery store, it's a community institution.
My wife said, go get strawberries. I'm here to get strawberries.
That is a good husband.
Tucked into the neighborhood, this supermarket feels more mom and pop.
I see all my neighbors here. It's all walking distance for most of us.
You come in here, you see everybody your kids went to school with, their parents.
Gosh, it would be a shame for the community to lose it.
Those people are so friendly, considering they live in the flight path of LAX. Good for them.
The future of this Vons on 80th Street is in question because of a proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons. In order to meet regulators' demands, Albertsons, which owns Vons, would have to sell off a number of stores, leaving the fate of this Vons in limbo.
So they will lose their neighborhood market. Maybe it'll get picked up by Grocery Outlet or somebody else, or maybe Target will take over, and maybe not. Maybe it'll get sold off, and then these people won't have a grocery store to walk to anymore.
Rachel Johnston has lived in Westchester for 45 years. For her, this Vons is more than a store.
Just be sad to see another pharmacy or something that there's just tons of that we don't really need.
Like many communities in Southern California, Westchester has seen housing prices soar. Along with gentrification, change here seems inevitable to some locals. But that doesn't make the possibility of losing a community staple any easier. Jacqueline Childs has lived here since 1986.
The way things are growing in Westchester, it doesn't surprise me because so much has grown up in this town in the last few years that it doesn't really surprise me. But
Boy, she bought in 1986. She must be sitting on so much equity. Good for you.
But it's a little disappointing. I have 5 kids and raised them all here, and this was the store to go to.
Neighbors here have a message for the folks in the corporate offices who will decide this store's future.
Just come here and check out the neighborhood before you decide to do anything with the store.
But will that message be heard? In Westchester, Tom Waite, KCAL News.
But that's what's going to happen if this merger goes through. You're going to see over a dozen Southern California supermarkets go bye-bye. Maybe to another owner, maybe not. And that's going to affect a whole lot of people. But the thing that I'm just having a hard time getting past, I understand the corporate world. I understand mergers. I understand dividends and profits and investments. Well, understand it rudimentary. Believe you me, I am not a finance guy. But I do not see how if this merger goes through, it's going to lead to lower prices.
Kroger has said no facilities will be closed and that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
My question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this. Do you believe if this merger goes through, it will lead to lower prices at the supermarket? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Joe in Hemet. Joe, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you? Just quick. I just want to tell you, came back from the store, and a couple of quick points. A couple of months ago, Walmart, I'm walking through because I have a big mouth and opinionated naturally, and the manager's there, and she goes, "Oh, what do you think what we did for you?" I go, "What did you do for me?" "Oh, look at," I go, "You know what? Excuse me," and she's a woman, or else I would have used choice words. She says, "Oh," I go, "Why don't you clean the shelves, paint the shelves, clean the glass, do this? You did nothing for me. Seniors I take to the store, they don't come here much because they get lost. Number one, Walmart, the price is raised up. You did nothing for nobody except you get a bigger bonus. Your workers can't get a raise. We get penalized for the theft. And because you spend money on shelves instead of cleaning them," I said, and here's the other thing. I think our public is that stupid. Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. We watch out for you. We treat you like family. I go, what, the Manson family? I go, bunch of baloney. They're going to merge. Prices are going up. And if you don't believe that by now, the regular consumer people, they're dumber than I think we are.
Wow. That is pretty epic rant, Joe. Always appreciate it when you call in, buddy. Yeah, I don't think prices are going down if this merger goes through. That's not really how this system works. The more consolidation, the more expensive things are going to get, especially because Kroger's going to have to pay for everything they're going to have to pay for everything in this merger. They're going to have to deal with all the costs going into it. And the only way they're going to have to save on some of those costs are cutting down the labor force, which happens for almost every single market consolidation, and raising prices. But hey, Kroger says if you let them merge with Albertsons, prices are going to go down. Do you believe that? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Phil in Rancho Dominguez. Phil, hello.
So do you remember when Vons wanted to buy Albertson and they let that Wiggins market in to take over those stores? You know, there's not one of those markets left.
You're right. They're all gone.
And so there's a lot of communities in the beach cities that had Albertsons and Vons. They don't have markets anymore. And that was supposed to be, more than we afford to take. You know?
Yeah, Phil, your phone cut out for a second. Go ahead and start over.
Oh. I'm going to say, when Wiggins came into the beach cities, they didn't last but maybe 6-8 months. and everybody said this is going to be great. You know, we're going to give you more for less. Well, now these people don't have markets, so how much more are we going to be able to afford? But you did
Totally
notice
agree
that
with you, buddy.
Safeway's top people, they're getting a whole lot more of our money.
They totally are. Phil, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, that merger was supposed to save a whole bunch of money, and the one before that. And I'm not buying what Kroger is putting out there. I understand why they want to do a merger, but I'm not sure how this leads to a better consumer experience. And more competition leads to a better consumer experience.
And that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Kroger wants to buy Albertsons. The LA City Council and certain members of Congress are opposing it. They say if they're allowed to merge, it will lead to lower prices and better choices for consumers. Are you buying that? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Grocery giant Kroger, which has Ralph's in the Southern California area, wants to buy Albertsons, which includes the Southern California Vons. They say if you let this merger go through, it's going to lead to better choices and lower prices.
Kroger has said no facilities will be closed and that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
Do you think if this merger goes through that prices are actually going to get lower at Ralph's? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to George in Sherman Oaks. George, hello.
Hi, Randy.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I think the only thing the consumer can count on helping at any point is competition, as you said. But let me mention this. My experience has been that Winco, W-I-N-C-O, has the best prices and the highest quality produce. So the prices beat all those chain stores enormously, and the produce is vastly better than the really deep cut rate places like Save Mart and Walmart. So there is a possibility if Winco will expand in Southern California, consumers should benefit tremendously. Winco is a huge winner in Reno and Vegas. They're all over Nevada, well, just those two cities. But they have a couple of places in Southern California, in Oceanside and in Pomona. And if they expand, I think you'll see a real competition. The other oligarch companies were perfectly willing to all have high prices, and that's not a great deal for consumers. So competition is ultimately the only thing that can save us. I'm just cheering for Winco to expand. There you go.
Well, and I'm looking right now, Winco's got almost a dozen locations in Southern California. They should absolutely, if Ralph's and Albertsons merge and they have to sell those 14 stores, Winco should eat that up, because I'm looking at nothing but good reviews for Winco's as opposed to your regular Ralph's. There's one in Chatsworth. I got to check it out. I've never been to a Winco.
I didn't realize there were that many. I'm glad to hear it. They have very aggressive prices, but what I like about them is the produce is good. So it's not, it's not junky produce. You're not giving up quality. I think it's great. Well, they're based in Boise, Idaho.
Well, that sounds real great. I'm going to check that out. That's what we need. We need better competition. I love it, George. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. And yeah, if more people start shopping at Trader Joe's and Winco and Target, well, yeah, then Ralph's is going to have to lower their prices, or they're going to cry, oh no, we need a bailout. We spent all our money on Albertsons and nobody wants to shop here because we're ripping people off on mayonnaise. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Do you think the merger of Ralph's and Albertsons is going to lead to lower prices? Let's go to Frank in North Hollywood. Frank, hello.
Hi, Randy. I've been listening to your show since you started up, and I kind of like it. Maybe, but I got to say you're kind of disinformed here. when Kroger decides to buy these other markets out, that will lower prices, hopefully. But again, I'll give you that. That might go up too because they have to cover the cost of the buying the thing. But do you know these markets only make 3% to 5% off everything they sell? And they got stuck out here with the $20 or $30 labor thing going on. You know, it's just like, I'm going to give you an example. Costco. Costco don't make any money off the stuff they sell, basically. I think it's free. They say 3-5%. They make their money off the membership. If it wasn't for the membership, Costco would not exist. Now, go back to Kroger's, buying up these other markets. There's a problem out here that, like I said, they're not making any money because the people in California basically are leaving. So, yeah, they are going to close some stores down. There's no doubt in my mind. I've been in business, well, I'm not in business anymore. I'm 80 years old, so I kind of been around. I saw Kroger's when they first opened up in Pennsylvania, watched them go out. Been both buying markets up.
Frank, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Hey, I'm all for getting educated on this subject, but from what I can see, they've made enough money that they say we can buy Albertsons when they were crying that we have to keep raising prices. I think they raised prices a little higher than they needed to during the whole inflation times because everyone's crying how they're broke, yet they had enough money to buy Albertsons. Do you think buying Albertsons is going to lead to lower prices at the supermarkets? Because that's what Kroger Ralph's is saying. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Grocery giant Kroger, which owns Ralph's out here in the Southern California area, wants to buy Albertsons, which includes the Albertsons in Vaughn's in Southern California. If they merge, they have to close a certain number of locations to get past antitrust standards, and they say if you let them merge, it's going to lead to a better customer experience.
Kroger has said no facilities will be closed and that customers would benefit from lower prices and more choices.
Do you think this merger between Kroger and Albertsons is going to lead to lower prices? If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Penny writes in and says, I shop at Trader Joe's, Albertsons, and Smart & Final. I forgot about Smart & Final. If I lose Albertsons, I probably will just start hitting farmers markets. I don't think the prices will go down if they merge. Neither do I. I will say, if you know what you're doing, you can find some pretty darn good deals at the farmers markets. And for people that are low income, I don't know if you know this, farmers markets take EBT. They right there, they'll turn it into cash, and then you can buy groceries direct from farmers. And oh boy, is that experience fun. I love my farmers markets. Marion writes in at at randykabc@gmail.com. Wrong show. When Vaughn's and Albertsons merged, there were not more choices. You get the same stuff at each store, no choices. For example, Albertsons had the best chocolate chip cookies. After the merger, they only carried the Vaughn's chocolate chip cookies, which were not nearly as good. I'm sure there are other examples, but I mostly shop at Trader Joe's, Target, and Grocery Outlet. Those are places that you could definitely save money. I don't have a Target that I would shop at close to me, but for many, many years, I have done Trader Joe's. And Trader Joe's always seems like a great deal. Now, you can't get everything there. There are definitely many categories of things you cannot get at Trader Joe's. But for what they do carry, they do a really good job. And for the most part, they keep things pretty cheap. Let's go to David in Newport. David, hello.
Hey, Randy. I wanted to point out that the Federal Trade Commission has already challenged this merger in court. And, you know, if they thought for a minute that the prices would go down for the customer, they'd be supporting it, especially in an election year, right?
Oh, of course. It would look like, hey, this is a big win-win-win for everybody.
further to that, I've seen the list of stores that are going to merge or split up or sold off or whatever, and a number of my stores here in my area are going to be those that are sold off. And one of them, they're like Pavilions and Vons and whatever. And I believe, if I might be mistaken, but I believe that the buyer they picked out is IGA or something like that. They're a wholesale operator. And I don't know. I mean, the only way you get to a cheaper pricing for customers is if you give them cheaper food and your costs aren't as high as, say, a Bristol Farms or a Gelson's. So I think this is a joke. I think, the worst case for them is like, oh, yeah, we said it was going to be cheaper, but, oh, gosh, it just didn't work out that way. Sorry. I think they need to just redo this whole market thing across the country. The brands are all mixed up. And by the way, your comment about the H-E-B Central Market in Dallas is right on. My daughter just moved there with her husband, and it is amazing. I would shop there every day if I could, just for the experience. Anyway,
H-E-B is a fantastically run supermarket chain. Central Market is their higher end one, and they do a lot for the community, and they have great pricing, and they also have great stuff that they make in-house. We're not going to ever see that here, but Absolutely. If you're in Texas, H-E-B is fantastic.
No doubt. You got me sold on that anyways. But I think this is a no, a big fat no, and they need to repencil this merger or just blow it up and start off with something else. I've been in the shopping center business for many, many, many years, and I can just tell you, it used to be, Market Basket. That's how old I am. Then it was merged with Vons, and then they had the whole thing with Ralph's and becoming, because I actually know, I went to school with Richard Ralph for that matter in LA. And at the end of the day, this is a joke. Everybody should know it and make sure that it doesn't happen, period.
I think you make a great point, David. Thanks so much for calling. Appreciate it. I wonder if they said when Lucky got bought by Albertsons, if prices were supposed to go down then. I remember Lucky. We had a Lucky supermarkets right in my neighborhood in Valencia. That's a Vallarta now. Vallarta has really good deals. Love me a good Vallarta. Let's go to Tim in Simi Valley. Tim, hello.
Hey, Randy. Nice to talk to you. My first answer is no. It's not going to make prices go down. Prices are always generated by, or rather supported by, what the market will bear. If they can get more for something, they're going to get more for something. If they have to reduce the price in order to compete with Trader Joe's or whoever else, they will if they have to, or they won't carry something else. The real question I have is whether or not this business model can survive at all. The competition goes beyond other grocery sellers. It's people like Amazon who are selling health and beauty aids, vitamins, toothpaste, everything that you get in the center section of the store that carries the highest profit margins. So if you can get these things without having to go to the market, you're not going to. The amount of health and beauty items that Amazon sells is enormous, and that's the most profitable part of the store. So with alcohol perhaps being next. But I really wonder, you take a look at all the businesses in this space that are gone. A couple of them were just mentioned. You think of Fazio's, Alpha Beta. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And the reason that there are fewer and fewer of them is because the market is becoming more and more difficult. And that's just the way it is. People used to think that TWA, Pan Am, they're never going to fail. They're too big. Nope, they're gone. And that could be the same thing with Albertsons and with Kroger and everybody else if they can't figure something out and figure out a way to be profitable.
You make some really good points, Tim. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. I will say, and yes, the threat of online shopping and the need to adapt, where you're seeing a lot of the retailers, Target being one of them, that have tried to do their best to mimic Amazon. The one thing they have going in their favor is there are a lot of people, myself included, that have gotten wildly turned off to the fact that sometimes when you buy things on Amazon, they're counterfeit goods or they're stolen goods. True story. And I've told this before. In the middle of COVID, I was having a real hard time finding Reynolds Wrap nonstick aluminum foil. Now, Because of this experience, I actually don't use foil anymore, and I'm a parchment paper guy, and I'm much happier for it. I love my parchment paper. That being said, I was like, okay, I can't find it at Ralph's. I can't find it at Smart & Final. I can't find it anywhere. So I ordered some Reynolds nonstick aluminum foil on Amazon. And when it came to my house, the box was already open, the foil inside smelled weird, and it did not have the Reynolds Wrap logo. And once you get burned with an experience or two like that on Amazon, there are certain categories of products you will not buy online. Like, I'm in the market for a new toothbrush right now. I will not buy it on Amazon. Target, I trust a little more, so I will shop online at Target, but I'm looking to go brick and mortar for that. That's the one advantage that the brick and mortars have right now is Amazon is ripe for stolen goods and counterfeit crap. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones. If you think the merger between Albertsons and Kroger, what Albertsons happens to own Vons, Kroger is Ralph's in Southern California, they say it'll lead to lower prices. What do you think? Let's go to Rick in Fontana. Rick, hello.
Hey, Randy. Just wanted to say, remember the hero pay that they had during COVID? So, the CEO from Kroger kicked that hero pay out so the workers, like my wife, wouldn't receive that anymore. It's $2 an hour. But he ended up getting a $22 million bonus. Yeah, anytime they say they're going to save you money, nah, something's hidden.
Yeah, that seems real fair. Boy, that is about as, caring in a crisis as you can get. Cutting out the hero pay for literally the most frontline workers we had out there and cashing in ridiculous salaries. That no wonder the mayonnaise costs $7 at Kroger.
Yep. And it's a wonder why nobody trusts anybody anymore. And every time they're going to tell you that they're going to help you, just don't take their word for it. You got to watch them if you're going along.
Thank you so much for the call, Rick. Appreciate it. That's why we need more choices. We need more competition out there, not less. Let's go to, before we get back to the calls, let's get a little giveaway in here. 790 KABC welcomes Mariah Carey. It's Mariah Carey's Christmas time at the Hollywood Bowl on November 8th. Tickets go on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. More of your calls coming up in just a bit. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Frank in Orange County. Frank, hello.
Hey, Randy. I know everybody's worried about the consumer, the end user, but you got to look at the other side. You got to look at the producers. You got to look at produce. And, when you have these brokers and they're brokering deals for so many millions of pounds of whatever, I mean, they're going to have a big advantage. And not only that, they're going to have this thing, I believe they call it trade dollars. So, like, if you buy a large volume, say, like, from Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, whatever, they can't, by law, I think, give them a super low deal, but they give them, like, product back based on, like so much volume, and they call it, like, trade dollars. They have, like, a fancy name for it. So they're gonna have a huge advantage. So they're gonna go in and it's gonna be like King Kong going in to do a deal when you've got like Elmo sitting at the other end of the table, a producer like ag producer or whatever. I think they should ask them what their margin is currently, and they should ask them what their margin is gonna. They're gonna make. I think grocery stores average around 2%, but I mean, I don't really know how they make it on 2%. So there's other ways they're going to game the system. And I'm not sure that our government officials are capable of figuring all of that accounting out. I think they really need to step back and take a look at this, because it's not only going to hit the the consumers eventually, but it's going to hit the producers too, the people that are like basically growing the food and working in the fields and canning the food. And I mean, it's gonna be tough all over.
You make some really good points there, Frank. Thanks so much for the call. I can't even begin to understand how unbelievably complicated our whole food production system is. And when I go to a supermarket and see how much produce they have of just something like how many heads of romaine they have, and think of how many different supermarkets are just in the valley and where all that is coming from and how it's getting on the trucks, it's wild. All right, John, you got 30 seconds. John, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Great. You got 20 seconds.
Okay. Nothing's going to change. I really hate, and this is one of my pet peeves, going in there and they ask me every time I go to punch in the stupid number. I just want to buy something and get out of there. Why do I have to punch a stupid number every single time? That's it. I'm done.
I love it. John, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Well, they got to know where your zip code is. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, and calling in. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz with Randy Wang right here on KABC.